My friends, I'd like to take a very quick but important break from the usual programming today, so to say, to talk about something that's incredibly important to me and that might affect you negatively at the moment on your guitar journey. As dramatic as it sounds, this concerns the dark side of playing and practicing guitar. I want to talk about this because I keep getting more and more student questions and messages on Patreon that kind of concern the unpleasant side of practicing and playing guitar, and a lot of fears that especially a lot of self-taught players encounter on their journey. So if you feel a bit frustrated on your personal guitar journey right now, you just clicked on the perfect video, because I'd like to debunk some quite dangerous myths and share some very helpful tips that will help you with overcoming those kind of dark and frustrating times when you're feeling like you're not really making any significant progress and you might be even thinking about quitting this beautiful instrument. The first thing I'd like to talk about is comparing yourself to more successful players. Since social media took off, this has reached a completely new level, and a lot of younger students that I have on Patreon that are like 12 or 13 years old, the exact age when I started out playing guitar, compare themselves to very successful guitar players, and that could really mean anything from playing perfectly to having a lot of followers and likes on their posts, or maybe constantly flexing new guitars and new gear, all of that stuff, to constantly watching these amazing players that seem to be much better and that seem to be much more successful can be quite discouraging for guitar players. Comparison is the thief of joy. I did not make this up. It's a very good quote, but I don't know who said it first. Maybe the wonderful editor of this video can help me out right here and put the name of the clever person who said that. The most important tip when it comes to overcoming this that I can share with you is focusing on your personal journey instead. I know it's much easier said than done, but if you focus on your personal growth and celebrate the small wins on your guitar journey, you will be much less discouraged and much more motivated to keep pushing instead of comparing yourself to someone who's been playing for 20 years or even longer. Please also remember that you only see the highlights on social media and not everything is quite as it seems. Someone with millions and millions of followers might be close to a burnout and very unhappy. Someone that posts perfect guitar videos might not tell you that it takes hundreds of takes to get the one that you're watching on Instagram or YouTube. When I was young, I personally made much better progress when I focused on my own journey and I compared my own playing to how I sounded a couple of weeks or months ago. Try to become the best guitar player that you can possibly be. That's a really great goal and an awesome way to escape that comparison hell. The second topic I'd like to address is feeling completely stuck on your guitar journey. This happens to quite a lot of people. You seem to be making progress, so the progress graph seems to be going up and everything's going fine. But when you hit a certain level, for a lot of players it's the early intermediate level, the progress line gets kind of flat and you don't really feel like you're improving. There can be a lot of reasons behind that. One of the obvious ones is when you're a beginner, you learn pretty much something new every single day. You learn your first chords, your first scales, your first songs. So progress can feel actually kind of fast when you're starting out because you're learning something new all the time. But as you enter an immediate level, the progress curve flattens a little bit, and this is completely normal because as an early intermediate, you know a lot of things about this beautiful instrument already and you don't really learn something completely new every single day. But a lot of players feel completely stuck for quite a long time, meaning literally years on their guitar journeys, and that usually means the approach when it comes to progress that's put in place is not really working. What I mean by that is that a lot of guitar players get very stubborn when it comes to their approach, for example their picking technique or fretting hand technique, and they just keep repeating it over and over again, expecting that things will change at some point. But if you did that for multiple years already and you feel like you're not really getting any better, I would dare to say there's maybe something wrong with the approach that you're following when it comes to practicing and improving on guitar, and it's time to explore some different ideas and some different concepts. This could mean a lot of things like exploring different genres. For example, when I was forced to get into jazz and fusion music when I was studying guitar at the conservatory, I suddenly had to learn a lot of theory, and that completely unlocked the fretboard for me, and I could suddenly also play much more creatively in my own genres that I enjoy. Or when I fixed all of my bad habits with my guitar technique, like my terrible picking technique that I started out with as a self-taught player, or my bad fretting hand technique habits, I finally reached a professional level on the instrument, playing anything that I wanted to play, which would have been impossible if I would have put in the same amount of practice time with the bad technique habits that I developed. So if you feel like you're stuck for quite a long time now and there's no significant progress on your journey, consider becoming my student for real. Just click the link down below, patreon.com/bernd. That's my online guitar academy. I made this one especially for self-taught guitar players because most self-taught players never really learned how to hold a pick or how to position the fretting hand in the best possible way to get rid of the annoying string noise that so many guitar players struggle with on a daily basis. So for my online guitar academy, I made structured guitar courses that come with detailed practice plans that tell you exactly what to practice, how to practice, and when to practice, so that there's no annoying guesswork and no annoying stagnant progress plateau that lasts for years and years. Because if you're working with the absolute best practical exercises in your routines, and if you fix all the bad habits that you probably developed as a self-taught player, you will finally start making progress again, and your progress graph will look like this. So it will skyrocket. So if you're ready to make some real progress on the instrument through expert guidance, become my student for real today. Just click the link down below, patreon.com/bernd. I'm waiting for you inside my online guitar academy. But for now, let's continue with the next topic. The third topic of today is what I like to call never feeling good enough. A lot of players that I'm personally mentoring on Patreon feel like they're never good enough, and hitting a professional level is simply not meant to be for them. They think that becoming a virtuoso guitar player is reserved for the 1%, like the ultimate elite, and you have to have perfect genetics or some kind of hidden talent. When in reality, I honestly have to say I don't really believe in talent. In my personal opinion, absolutely everyone can get to a professional level on the instrument with the right exercises and the right practice routine, and especially consistency. This might be the most important thing of all. But what I want to give you on your way with this specific topic is that you will never feel like a perfect guitar player, like you learned everything and you can play absolutely everything perfectly all the time. The better you get at this beautiful instrument, the more you will learn about all the tiny inconsistencies and more complex topics. And it's definitely one of those things where the more you learn, the less you know. At least that's kind of how you feel like. So this journey never ends. You will never be completely satisfied and happy. And that might actually be my favorite thing about all this. It's a lifelong journey. You will always remain a student of the instrument and always learn something new and encounter new challenges. So please don't have the mindset of I'm not good enough, I didn't reach this perfect level where everything is super easy and I'm basically a god of the guitar and I completed it 100%. Embrace being a student forever. You found something that will keep you busy and occupied for your entire life. Let's be honest, it would be kind of sad if you completed the game of guitar at one point and you're just done. I think it's super cool that this is a never-ending journey. You just have to remember that whenever you feel frustrated. The next very important talking point is imposter syndrome. You might have heard of that somewhere before. It's essentially a feeling that you have that you're an imposter and you don't really belong where you are because you're not good enough. And this is actually quite funny because this happens to a lot of guitar players. A personal story that I can share when it comes to this is when I got my first really big gigs. That was around 10 years ago already, but I can still remember it like it was yesterday, because as I was stepping on those big stages for the very first time for sound check, I had this overwhelming feeling of what am I doing here? I'm here on this huge stage about to play for thousands of people, and a couple of months ago I was just in my parents' home in my kids' bedroom kind of studying the set list. I don't have enough experience. I didn't go through the training that most people go through probably. So of course I didn't tell anyone. I played it cool, but I was pretty young and I saw a lot of great players in the backstage rooms because it was a music festival. A lot of my favorite bands were playing and I was just 17, 18 years old, something like that, and felt like I have no idea what I'm doing here. Maybe this is too much. I feel like an imposter. But now that I'm older, I talk to a lot of very famous guitar players because I got to collaborate with some of them. And the more I talk to very successful people, the more I keep hearing the exact same story and the exact same thing that I went through at the start. Because music and art don't really come with like your traditional career ladder or anything like that, where you go from one position to the next and you go through the correct education to get the job and preparation and all of that. You will get tossed into some absolutely crazy scenarios that no one ever prepared you for, which might result in feeling like an imposter sometimes. Please just remember that this is a very natural feeling that all artists go through, because when you get into your first band, you've never been in a band before. When you play your first show, you never played a show before. When you play your first arena or even stadium or huge festival, you never did that before. So this is just a comfort zone that you're exiting, just like when you're practicing and you practice stuff that you can't play yet. It's perfectly normal to feel like an imposter sometimes. It just just means that you're exiting your personal comfort zone, you're doing something that you never did before, and I personally believe in you. As years go by and you do this more and more often, like going into the studio or playing on stage, it will all start feeling quite natural. The next topic I hear about quite a lot from my students on Patreon is performance anxiety or stage fright. So whenever you're recording a video of yourself, you suddenly lose all your guitar skills, so to say. Or whenever you step on stage, your heart is racing, your hands are sweating, you mess up your guitar solos. So performance anxiety and stage fright are very, very common amongst guitar players because we want to be perfect at all costs. We want to avoid any mistakes. So if you get nervous before you go on stage, to me, that's actually a very, very good sign because it means that you care about your performance. It's the exact same thing for me. I also get nervous because I care quite a lot. I have very, very high standards when it comes to my guitar playing, especially live. I don't want to be one of those people who plays perfectly on social media or in my videos or on my albums, and then I absolutely can't replicate it live and it sounds terrible. I want to practice what I preach, so I care a lot about all that stuff. I think if you're just completely dead inside before you walk up on stage, that would be kind of sad, and it means you're not really enjoying this anymore, or you simply don't care about it anymore. Overall, in my personal experience, playing in front of a camera, in front of an audience, or in the studio is exactly like working on a specific technique. You will get much, much better at it the more you do it. So if you only played 4 or 5 shows so far and you feel like you're not a good live performer, think about it this way: if you only practice a song 4 or 5 times or a specific technique 4 or 5 times, you will also not feel like a sweep picking master, for example, if you only practice that for 5 days. This takes time, you need to be a little bit patient, but you will get better with every single video, with every single live performance, with every single studio job and appointment, and most importantly, you will learn from any mistakes that you make. When I think about my first live performances, of course, I'm also cringing quite a bit, but it's great to remember them and to think about how much better I got at this. And just like with what I talked about before, this is a never-ending journey. You will never have a perfect gig where you 100% satisfied with absolutely everything that happened on stage for like 2 or 3 hours. But chasing that perfect gig is just an awesome thing that will last your entire career. Just try to get better at this every single time you do it. And don't forget to have fun, please. And lastly, losing the joy of playing guitar altogether. This isn't very common, but here and there I have a student that's completely burned out because they decided to work on a 4 or 5 hour daily practice routine for a couple of months, to the point where it became physically and mentally draining for them. So they kind of completely burned out, lost the joy when it comes to practicing and playing, and think about selling all of their stuff because they're not happy with the progress that they made, because they thought they just have to do that for a couple of weeks to reach a super professional level. So if you have ever been in a dark place like this, or maybe you're even in one right now, please remember that it's perfectly fine to take a quick break. The absolute last thing I want for you is that you hang up this beautiful instrument and just quit your journey because you feel super burned out and you forced yourself to practice for a very long time every single day. Taking a quick break when you really don't feel like doing this is better than just pushing through it all and then abandoning the instrument at one point because you start hating it. The thing that I preach the most, because it helped me the most, is consistency. And if you have just 30 minutes a day or 60 minutes a day to practice guitar, you will get amazing results and reach a professional level if you work on the right exercises. You do not have to burn yourself out with practicing all day. Just try to keep it healthy for your mental health and also for your physical health. You don't want to get tendonitis or any kind of nasty injuries just because you're pushing way too hard. So at the end, if you are currently struggling on your guitar journey with any of those things I talked about, or even some other topics, leave a comment down below. I would love to learn about that. Remember that you're not alone. This is supposed to be fun after all. And if you're currently feeling alone, why not join our awesome community on Patreon? You will have tons of players to interact with. And of course, I will also help you out on your journey. You get access to all of my premium guitar courses over there, like the awesome guitar technique courses that I made for my online guitar academy, my music theory courses, and even my home recording courses, because my biggest goal is helping you out as much as I possibly can. So if you're looking for new inspiration for this year, just click the link down below, join my online guitar academy today. I'm waiting for you inside. Until then, stay positive and have an amazing day. See you soon.